Hello. Thank you for deciding to watch my testimony. My name is Aaron S. Uh, it'll be, it's about my, uh, my journey from uh, alcoholism, addiction, partying, being an atheist, to New Age, and then spirituality, New Age, suicide attempts, and finally into um, redemption through Jesus Christ. Um, I hope this story, if it even reaches one person and it helps them turn to Christ, I'll be happy. So it all starts with, I'll start with my childhood. I grew up with my brother and my sister and my mom. And well, I was born in New Mexico. I was born in Raton, but we moved to Texas, in the panhandle of Texas, when we were young. I think it was like in the first grade. Um, so I started living out there. I have a twin brother and a younger sister, and it was a good childhood growing up. We moved to a small town because my mom's sister was having her first baby and wanted some family around, and we weren't doing much in New Mexico. My mom was a single mom, and the struggles that brings, trying to raise three kids. So we moved to Borger um, in the 1990s and early 1990s. Um, and like I said, it was a good childhood. We grew up there, and it was kind of, we were fishing and hunting in middle school and elementary school, riding bikes. My mom had some boyfriends, and then she finally she had met somebody and married this guy. So he was like a stepdad. He was real cool. He was a real good guy. So we lived with him for several years. And so yeah, so the childhood, I started drinking. My mom's boyfriend at the time, he would let us drink when we were in middle school, and so we had like a kind of like a game room in the back that he had made that had a pool table, and we had like video games and stuff there, and so a lot of people would come over. A lot of our friends wanted to come over and spend the night and stuff, and so on weekends we would get to drink beer. So we started drinking beer. At that time I wasn't doing drugs, um, just drinking. So we would drink, and then we would go out and do kind of crazy, stupid things that boys do, teenage boys, going after girls, and going out stealing stuff, and but for the most part, we were still pretty good. We were like go out and uh, we had got shotguns when we were in the eighth grade, or seventh grade or eighth grade, and so we would go out there and go hunting and stuff, and we would tie fishing rods to our bikes, and we would go out and just we had a really good country girl childhood, which was had a lot of good memories. Um, so later on, when I was in ninth grade, my my mom and her husband got divorced. So we ended up moving from Texas back to New Mexico, to Albuquerque. So I finished high school in Albuquerque, and that's kind of when I got introduced to, like, well, there was like gangs and stuff, but I didn't really, wasn't into that. But they had like, I started smoking weed, is where it started, and still drinking in high school. All my friends have always been a little older, so we were able to get access to alcohol and stuff like that. So it was just mainly weed. and then started experimenting with like mushrooms and acid, psychedelics in high school. Um, didn't really like the acid. I had a bad trip. The was crazy, um, and so didn't really do it. Kept doing that. Um, but okay, so then as I got older, um, I when I turned 18, I had gotten in trouble, and I got a felony. So that was my first experience with like jail. I did get a vehicle in high school, um, but yeah, like when I was 18, I got in trouble, and got a since it was my first time, I got a probation, but it was still a felony for basically breaking into a house, an empty house, or but so I was on probation for a couple years. So I stopped smoking weed, but I kept drinking. And then I decided to go to college after high school. I did eventually I graduated from high school just barely. My grades were real poor. And when I was graduating, like I said, barely, I think I barely graduated with a couple points. But I decided to go to art school. So I went to art school in Albuquerque. It was a 2-year degree, and so that was a lot of partying. Started doing cocaine sometimes. Was drinking, and then that's when I started experimenting with pills. And I liked the feeling of painkillers. They were they just made me feel invincible and everything. So I really enjoyed that feeling, and so that started that whole craziness there. Excuse my a little nervous, but I'll still get through this. So in my 20s, so I was in college. I did manage to get my associates in advertising art, but I couldn't. I stayed in New Mexico, and I couldn't get a job like at an advertising firm. So I ended up working for the newspaper to start with, as in the pre-press department, basically doing graphics for the newspaper as my first job with my degree. So I did that for a little bit, but then my sister had met a boyfriend, and he was in the cable construction business, and we had an opportunity to go traveling, making a lot more money, and so I decided to give up the art job, and went to start doing cable TV. So we traveled around. We ended up moving to Virginia, and this was around 2000. This was when 9/11 happened, and so yeah, so I was out there, and this is when I got my first DWI. Well, I got arrested for DWI, but it actually got not dismissed, but it got changed to was it careless driving, because they did some type of procedure that they weren't supposed to, and so it kind of it throughout the DWI, it was like they drew blood, and they didn't seal they weren't supposed to take blood, I guess, or something like that. I'm not sure about the details, but either way, I got off of it. But you would think that would have made me snap with my drinking and driving, but that didn't. So I stayed with the cable business, went back after that happened. I moved. Oh, and also I had a truck at the time, a new truck that I had got, because when I had got when I started school, I had got a student loan, and I was able to qualify for like a first buyer program, so I got me this S10 truck. But after that, I wasn't able to, I don't know what, I think it got impounded and got repoed basically. And so I ended up going back to Albuquerque for a while, working in Albuquerque, and then another opportunity to go to San Diego or California came up to where I could go do directional boring to do fiber optic cable. So I went out there and did that. Was making really good money out there. I was in the Temecula area. And then, so this was my second DW, well, the second time or this is the first DWI that stuck in San Diego. So I spent like 5 or 6 days in jail. I got out, got my other truck out of impound. I had got a different truck at that time. So I ended up driving that truck from there and getting out of California. So I basically skipped on that charge. And so then they ended up taking my license since I didn't go to court over there. And so I had to like get SR22 insurance in New Mexico. So in order to get my license back, so I was driving without a license for a little while, but I continued to keep working in the cable business. And so I did that for a long time. Then I ended up, got tired of being out of town and working out of town out of hotels. So I went to start to look for some art jobs where I could use my degree again. And I started working at some printing companies. So I was doing that, working as a graphic designer for a print company. And so I was still drinking and still doing pills. Also, I had tried like meth at one time, but I didn't really like that high. So I just kind of stayed. But alcohol was kind of always one thing that I was always still doing. And it was mostly on the weekends, but sometimes during the weekdays, but mostly on the weekends. And then I'd be, hungover or whatever. And then I was still functional with it. But as my 30s started going on, I started getting less functional. I was like losing jobs, or I was like starting to just, do things that were unreliable and not showing up for work and stuff like that. And so I started losing jobs and stuff. And it was just hard to kind of keep it under control. I could tell that it was starting to become a bigger problem. At this time, I had stopped smoking weed because it was giving me paranoia. When I had quit for those 2 years on probation and I tried smoking weed again, the high was not the same. So it was mainly just pills and alcohol then that was kind of what continued through my 30s and 40s. And then I didn't have any kids at this time. I did have, in 2012 is when my son Darwin was born. I had met a girl and we started dating, and then she got pregnant. And at that time my addiction was pretty bad at that time. I had got on to methadone to try to get off of the pills. So I was like on methadone for 5 or 6 months, but I didn't like that either because it was just at that time my insurance wasn't covering it, so I had to pay for each daily dose, which I think it was like $11 a day. It just becomes expensive after a while, and plus it got tired of having to go down there to that clinic every day to dose, but I also wanted to just get off of the addiction. So I did finally taper down, and then I tried to get off of it and quit cold turkey. It was like 2 weeks to a month of just horrible withdrawals and just you feel like everything is like black and white. Like there's just like no color in the world when you're because your brain is just so the opiates just really mess up everything. And then so I had a bad anxiety from that too, and from the alcohol. And then also too, sometime during that time, my brother had bought me like one of those home brew kits for Christmas. So I started making alcohol at home, brewing my own alcohol and stuff, and that turned out to be a big problem, because then now I started having bottles of gallons and bottles of alcohol, which I was good at making it, and it was good as far as like the taste and everything, but it just was. So I ended up selling my equipment, because I knew if I kept on to it, I would be it would get out of hand real bad, worse than it was already. So so throughout all this time, I kept trying to get out of addictions and stuff on my own, and there would be periods of time where I would be sober for a few months, and things would be doing good, and then something would happen, and I would just self-sabotage, and I would just go back to drinking, and and I was also just dating a lot of different, in my 30s and 20s, I was always going to bars, meeting girls, and just looking for a one-night stand and stuff like that. But I just was not I just was not happy, and I didn't, my biological dad wasn't ever around, so I don't know if I had probably had some issues with that, as far as like abandonment, rejection. Yeah. So I had trouble being a good father myself, trying to raise a son, because I didn't really know what I needed to do, so I just tried to be as good of a father as I could. Me and his mom broke up after he was born, and so I was paying her child support. We were having joint custody issues, because she knew I was drinking and doing pills and stuff. So I had to we went through like some court stuff to where I had to like take drug tests, and had to like meet at this one place in order to see my son. It was like supervised visits, because she didn't trust me. But I kept showing them that, there was never an issue with that, and I got through that. So eventually I started getting to where I could have him on weekends and sleepovers and stuff, and taking him fishing and different things that, that I know a kid wants to do. So let me see. So like, I guess in my late 30s and my early 40s is when my addictions kind of really started to catch up with me. And at that time I was messing with like Oxycontin, and then fentanyl started coming around. And then I started, but I was kind of at first scared of fentanyl, because I was seeing how like it was like taking people out and stuff pretty easy. But they were cheaper, and eventually I started doing the fentanyl. I never done heroin. It was always just pills. I guess I kind of was always kind of the heroin thing, and the needles and stuff was never something I wanted to do. I was always like someone that would snort them up or swallow them. But when the fentanyl came around, that's kind of when I realized how high I guess I should back up, because when I did get off of the methadone, I was sober for a few months, maybe 5 or 6 months. And then you know how addiction is. You slowly start to and then also I started going to AA around that time too. And I had started doing pretty good. I was learning the literature, going all the time. Then I started chairing the meetings sometimes, and I was doing really good with but then, just like they say, if you don't keep up with it, you just slowly start going away, and then finally you turn back to drinking again. it's exactly what happened. And so I, in my 40s, I started drinking again and was still doing pills again and stuff. And but I noticed that it was really wreaking havoc on my body. Like I just couldn't have. It was giving me massive anxiety when I wasn't drinking, or when I'd go on a few 2 or 3 day bender of drinking, and it would like cause a lot of anxiety, and I was getting withdrawals and stuff, and never had seizures or anything that bad, or the DTs, I don't think. But I ended up going to detox centers 2 or 3 times for like 7 days at a time, and so that way I could get off of the get through the alcohol addiction. And then with the pills, I was still messing around with pills, and then I'd end up, drinking again after a little while. I'd do good, and then I would mess up again and then I started getting on the fentanyl and the other pills, and eventually I had to turn myself into a rehab center at first. It was like a 28-day rehab center. I completed that. I felt good. I felt that was actually a really good experience. Learned a lot about addiction through that. And then I was going to go to like a 6-month kind of like after rehab kind of rehab place. But I ended up only completing 3 months of that, just because I didn't like the place I was at, and I was kind of getting homesick, So I ended up leaving early from that, but I stayed sober when I got out of there. I started doing solar work again. I guess I should say I started after I got out of the printing. I started getting into the solar installation work and solar site surveying after that. So I was doing that because it was paying better than printing, and so I started doing that. And then the last solar job I had lost it because I guess one of the customers thought that I was under the influence of something, which I was. It was over a pill, but I didn't know. I didn't think I was. But apparently I got hit with a drug test, a random drug test. So I ended up losing that job. And so in the so a few years ago, I would say, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I was really depressed over the holidays, and I was doing the fentanyl, and I thought that I could, I decided I was ready to check out. Oh wait, you know what, I'm missing a lot. Let me go back. At the whole time I was in my 20s and 30s, I was an atheist. I wasn't, I didn't think there was a God out there. I didn't think, when I first went to rehab, I started learning about other spiritualities, and like Buddhism, Hinduism, and stuff like that, different like Eastern religions, because I was trying to I was looking for something that would satisfy, I tried to understand my addictions and understand like what is out there. I've always been somebody that likes to learn and stuff like that. So so I guess you could say I wasn't an atheist no more, like in my late 30s, 40s, early 40s. I was kind of like spiritual, and so then it got me like kind of catapulted me into the new age learning. So I started doing tarot cards and reading about the occult stuff and all that stuff, because I thought, well, maybe I can find something in here that will give me a reason to live, give me all this just help me out somehow, because I just felt like there's got to be something better, more than this, not just working and all these issues and problems that I seen in society and everything. So I wanted to figure this out. Um, um, so fast forward to the suicide attempts. Now, when I had that suicide attempt, I took like 6 fentanyl pills, and like let me go back. There's the first time I messed around with fentanyl, and I I fell out. I was drinking alcohol with it, and you're not supposed to do that. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time. Well, I knew that you're not supposed to mix opiates, but after a beer or two, you kind of. So I ended up smoking the fentanyl, and I ended up having an accidental drug overdose. And when I did that, when I fell out, I guess I had vomited, and it had gotten into my lungs, and I ended up getting pneumonia, and it was just a really painful experience. And that kind of scared me and set me straight for a little while after that happened. But like fast forward a year after that, after my not my attempted suicide, but my accidental suicide, a year after that is when I attempted to take fentanyl to end it, and so that's when I took the 6 pills, and I had locked myself in my car, but I didn't die. I fell over. I guess I just fell out or went out unconscious or something, but I didn't die. And this is where and like, I don't know I don't remember at that time. Like okay, so I fell out, and I was in my car, like sideways for like 12 hours in my car, and being in that position for that long, it like messed up my organs, because it like so like when I got home, like it was weird, and it was like I was real messed up bad. I ended up driving home to my house. My mom was mad. She's freaked out because I was living at my mom's again, and so she was mad that I was high, because I had told her what I had done. And so I ended up falling asleep, and I woke up in the morning, and my mom had called the cops on me, or called the ambulance, because she thought that I didn't look right or something, and which was a good thing, because I went to the hospital, and then because I wasn't feeling right, and I guess I had acute liver, no, not acute kidney failure. And so I had to stay in the hospital for a week, and they had to do, give me fluids and stuff like that. And luckily I pulled out of that. So obviously God has some plans for me, because that was another thing, acute liver failure. I was, that whole side of my body was like shutting down or starting, because I had laid on it for so long. So that was really bad. So where was I? Well, anyways, okay, so I got out of that. All that happened. At that time, I didn't have the vision or dream of hell or outer darkness, or I didn't. Maybe I don't know if God or Jesus he was being like kind enough to wait or he was. Let me see, how do I explain this? When I woke up from that attempted suicide attempt, I didn't immediately remember the hell and vision, the hell and I guess, I don't know if it was heaven, but I didn't remember that at that time. What happened was after that, I really started um, to have like extreme guilt about what I did, and I started looking into to to like religion, as far as not religion, but like Jesus Christ, and learning about that information. So and that's when I started to remember. What happened was, I remembered, it must have been a dream that I had. It must have came to me as a dream after that attempt, because I had watched a video, a testimony about somebody going to hell. I can't remember if it was whose video it was on YouTube, but it was, and they were talking about their experience in hell, and it was like the next morning is when I like woke up, and I remembered. It was like almost like I remembered what had happened in my hell experience. It was like outer darkness. Like what I had experienced was, when I first went to like outer darkness, is the fear is like just wraps around you, man. It's like alive. It like being separated from God is like the worst thing, because you're out there, and the outer darkness is like, it penetrates you, and you're just like in so much fear. It's like a fear that's I don't think anybody can experience on earth. um, and then all of a sudden, I just kind of, it shifted from that. I think I cried out Jesus, and then from there, because yeah, at that time I knew there was, I mean, something just told me to say Jesus, and then after that, it was like I was like at this other place, like I guess it was the outskirts of heaven. And I just remember I was weeping, and I was so ashamed. I wouldn't even look at Jesus. I just remembered his feet there, and I was like, there was like this stone or granite or some type of floor that was like stone or emeralds or something. And I just remember like weeping and crying, and saying how sorry I was, and and the authority that he had, and he, and I just remember knowing, like, instantly, when you're there, you like know everything that is going on, like that this is Jesus, that what I did was wrong, like I deserve to go to hell, like it's almost like you have a full awareness of everything that we don't have down here, because of the veil that we have down here. So I don't remember like all the details of it, but I do, that's kind of what I remember. And then that was like it, like, so, but what I remember is, after I remembered this like dream or whatever it was, it kind of put a sense of urgency, of anxiety in me, where for like a couple of days, man, I was like really scared, like because it like was so real. It was more real than you would think. Than we think down here. It was so real and so final and so scary that nobody wants to go to hell. It's the worst place you can ever go. Even your enemies, you wouldn't want anybody to go there. I mean, that is just, it's so, that instantly like convicted me. And then from then, and like with everything, I jump head in and try to learn as much. Like when I was doing New Age, I had bought books, I had did the crystals, all that stuff. When I was learning how to make alcohol, I got all into that, watched videos, bought all the stuff, that like everything that I've done, as hobbies or whatever, I just go all in on it. Try to learn as much as I can about it. Try to be good at it. Well, same with this. I started reading the Bible. Started just watching videos after videos of different testimonies of people coming to Jesus, watching more how testimonies, and I seen a lot of, and it kind of helped me to remember, like certain things that people would say would cross over to what I had remembered, and I'm kind of glad now that I don't remember all the details of that, because it was pretty traumatic. I remember that it messed me up for a couple days. Like I was full of anxiety because of what I experienced. So so basically, yeah. So after that, I I just started learning as much as I could. So I bought me a Bible, started buying books on. I started watching deliverance videos, like Win Worley, Isaiah Saldivar, and like some of these Demon Slayer podcasts and different videos, because I started learning about how the angels and demons and all that, how that affects everything that's going on. Like life is spiritual, man. Life is so spiritual. Most people think it's physical and stuff, but that's just the manifestation of what, of what's going on. You start to realize there's a first heaven, second heaven, third heaven. How people can get their destiny stolen, and how there's generational curses. I started learning a lot about how sin opens up doors to different demon possessions. And I did have one sleep paralysis experience where I was laying down. This was after I had taken a fentanyl, or was messing with some pills, and this demon was, I thought it was my our little dog that we had, that was laying behind me and was breathing on me. And it was weird, like I looked over, and it was a demon, like with a hood on and these red piercing eyes, and it's freaked me out, and I jumped up out of my bed, and then I looked back and it was gone. But that was the first time I ever had that sleep paralysis thing. And that was I don't know, I guess I was like half and half in sleep and not fully asleep or something. But that was so real, man. That was another experience that felt really, really real. And that freaked me out for a day or two also. Yeah, so then my grandma's husband, he's like kind of like a pastor at a church, not like a deacon or something like that. Well, anyways, he led me to the sinner's prayer, and then a month later I got baptized, and so that's it. Like ever since then, that's it. I've been on this quest for continuing to grow in the faith. If anybody out there has had this same, I think all this, and I apologize for the way I'm not too comfortable in front of a video stuff, so that's why it's. But anyways, I hope somebody out there can benefit from this video. I did skip over a lot of stuff because it just I kind of just had some brief notes here just to kind of keep me in, but I know I'm missing a lot of stuff. If I probably had somebody that would interview me and ask me more questions, I could probably come up with then I could be able to talk about it. Because there's some gaps that I've missed. But now my son is 11 years old, and he's doing good. He's a good kid. I'm teaching him now about the Bible. I got him the Action Bible, and got him saved. I need to get him baptized here real soon. And so I'm a baby Christian. I've only been in this since November 1st was when I got saved, and then November 26th of 2023 was when I got baptized. And so I'm still new to a lot of this. I listen to a lot of different sermons, pastors online. Um, I, uh, I have a job where I drive all day, so it gives me the opportunity to listen all day to audiobooks, YouTube videos, which I'm very thankful for. I think the Lord is just keeping me in the. He's just keeping me in this job and this opportunity to just learn right now. But I felt drawn to put my testimony out there to at least, and I know it's really rough, but hopefully at least somebody that has had any of these same experiences, there is hope. You can get through this. I mean, I can't believe through all of this stuff that I came all the way through this. Just, when I wish somebody would have told me when I was or younger, that I would have listened to that Jesus Christ is the answer, the way, the truth, the light, and and like I say, I'm still learning. I like the Gospels. I like the Book of Acts. I agree with the charismatic that they're still doing. I see deliverance videos all the time where they're casting out demons. It's alive and well. I'm ready for a revival like they had like a Azusa Street or the Welsh or revival. There's learning about different revivals that happen in history, but I think we need a big revival now to just to offset some of this demonic stuff that's going on with the policies and stuff in the United States. So yeah, that's my story. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing that I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, they can probably comment on the video, and I'll be able to answer a question. Maybe I'm gonna try to maybe refilm this later and not it be so unpolished. But either way, I wanted to at least get this out, and just so somebody can take some benefit from it and know that Jesus is the only way. He's the only way you can get peace, the only way you're going to get out of your addictions. You might get a little bit of peace somehow, just like by going through a rehab or whatever, but it's not going to last if you just can't battle the traumas and the demons that have got you into this situation in the first place. I just want to say thank you for listening to this, and I hope everybody on the other side of this is good and could take something good from it. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.